everybody to be a part of this. So that application I think should create. How many of us have done it? Are you done? You are not done. Why? Why? Why are you not done? Okay. So I'm going to start recording. I've started recording rather. So let us get started. Now we're going to have we're going to go into something much more complex, which is fetching data from API. You understand? Now, you know that I explained something to you. I said in our last class, I said when we talk about APIs, right? We're talking about what? Application programming interface. And what exactly application programming interface? Who wants to try? What application programming interface is? Now it's not exactly the link between front and back. It's the link between what you want to do, and it's the link between what you want and what you want to do. So if I want to eat pizza and I go to the restaurant, right? And I ask, wait, please let me do just tell them your recipe, tell them what you like. You understand? If they do it for you, what happens? You're not the one doing the pizza yourself, isn't it? They are the one helping you to do it. So it's not necessarily front end and back end. You can say you want to eat pizza. You can say you want to go to a fancy restaurant for a date. You understand? That is what two different things, but you are still using the services of a waiter, which is your what? API. Do you get? So it's not necessarily front end and back end. It can even be front end to front end. Right? So not front end. Like when I say front end to front end, I say like probably you are taking from a particular place to your front end. Or you're taking from a particular place to your back end. It doesn't necessarily have to be your front end and back end. So integrating Paystack in your front end. Your Paystack is not your back end. Paystack is a payment gateway. But to integrate it in your program, in your project, what do? Use your what? You read the Paystack code and integrate the API into your own what's the name? Into your own project. You understand? That is what API is. Well, yeah, you have an idea, and that is nice. Now, how do you now use an API? First of all, the API is not in your project, is it? No, it is not in your project. The API is an external resource. Is it resources or resource or whatever the name is that you are trying to integrate into your application? You understand? It's like an external code, not necessarily code, an external tool you're trying to use in your application. Do you get it now? So for you to use it in your application, you have to fetch it or get it from that particular source. That is where the fetch keyword comes in. So the fetch keyword is used in fetching data from what? From an external source or API. That's API. You understand? So this is what? Fetching data from an external source or from an API. Now, it is very, very important for you to know that fetching API is not just from from the internet. It's not every time you try to fetch API from the internet. You also fetch API or endpoints from your backend. You understand? You can easily use fetch to get all of those things from your backend. Now, in this case, we want to fetch data from this particular API. And how exactly are we going to do that? First of all, you need to use your fetch keyword. So you're going to say fetch. Now, in our last class, I gave an example. I gave an example that if you are fetching water from a well, how will you do it? Like you use fetching pay, right? Fetching pay is like a fetch. You're trying to fetch data from a particular API. And how do you do it? Use your fetch keyword, and then inside of it, you have your API link. The link to your API. So I can copy this and I can paste it here. Link to your API. Now automatically you fetch the data. But it doesn't end here. Because after fetching the API, you want to also do something, isn't it? Right? So for it to do that thing, you need to use your .then. Remember what your .then is. Then is saying that, okay, after this thing has been fetched, then something has to happen. Do you get it now? So I can have my what? .then. And in my .then, I'm going to have a response, right? And my response is going to listen for what? For a JSON format. So I'm going to have what? Response.JSON. I also explained what JSON is in our last class. Remember, what's JSON? Yeah, JavaScript object notation. And I explained to you that when we're talking about JavaScript object notation, it is basically printing out the API or the data in a readable form for you to understand what you're trying to get. If I just fetch this particular API that is here now, and I say console.log data of the API, what you're going to get is you're going to get gibberish, something you do not understand. But when you now convert that response that you're getting from the API to a JSON format, what will happen? It will now what? Convert it to a readable human form that you can understand. Do you understand? So right now, after I've gotten my response, I can also say what .then, and I can say what data, right? Then I'm going to say console.log data. Now, if I go live and I check my console, so now let us check our console. Let us inspect and let us see what we have on our console. Now, if I refresh, you should be able to see what. Okay, there's a mistake in the code. Okay. So let us try and catch our error also. So we have what .catch. And I'm going to have what error. And then I'm going to say console.log error. Now let us check what we have and let us see the result. Why is it giving us? Because it's not in the okay. All right, good. Now looking at it now, we have what ID or what name. You have the address. You have the company. Now you can easily use all of these data in your code. You understand? Now let us now say I remove the JSON. Let us remove the JSON and let us see what happens. Now, removing this, let's remove the JSON first and let's see what we have. Now you just have what .then response, right? Good. Now let us check out the data. We don't even need the response. We don't need, let me remove this. So let's just say .then data. Good. Now, if you check this out now, looking at it, do you understand what is here? It looks a little bit vague. Now, why is it vague? You are seeing the body, you are seeing the URL, which you've already used. You are seeing the type, which is a cross origin. Then you are seeing the response. Now, the response is actually what you need. Why? Why is it what you need? First of all, you need to understand that when we're talking about API, when we're talking about data in general, there are two things involved. The first is what request, the second is what response. When we talk about request, we're saying I'm requesting for data. When we're talking about response, response is the answer to the data. Okay, I want to eat this, right? The response is the what exactly you want to eat. Do you get it now? Okay, I want to consume this. The response is what you are trying to consume. Are you getting this? The two things that you need to put into consideration is what? Response and data. Sorry, response and what? Request. Request is what you're trying to request for data. Response is the actual data you get from the request. Do you get it now? Now, in this place, you're just getting the response here. You cannot understand how you will use this response. Why can't you understand it? Because first of all, the response is already what embedded in an object that you cannot open. So for you to open it, for you to be able to read it, you need to convert that response to what? JSON format. Now, JSON will now help you what? Read it out. That's why they call it what? JavaScript object notation. It allows you to read all of these formats easily. Now, how do you use it? All you have to do is what? You come here and you convert the response that you'll be getting from this API to what? To a JSON format. So how do I do that? I can say .then. That means .then means that after I have gotten the API data, after I have gotten the API data, what do I want to do? I want to convert that data to what? To a JSON format so I can read it and use the data. Is it clear to us? Is it clear now? So I can have .then, and in my .then I'm going to have what? Response. Response, okay, right? And in this response, I'm also going to give it a what? A response dot what? JSON to convert it. Now, automatically, my data will now be converted to human reading. Now, as you can see, I can read it. I understand that this is the address. If I want to use my address, how do I use my address? I can use what? The data dot the address. Why am I using dot? It's an object because it has been converted to what? To a readable JSON format. Now they call it JavaScript object notation, meaning that it was now an object. Did you get it now? So it is now readable. Now I can get the website name, I can get the username, I can get the phone number, I can get the name, the ID. All of these things, they are easily, you cannot easily what? Integrate them in your application. Right? Now easily, I can also still come here and I can say, so let me just get something in my, let's get HTML. So in my HTML now, I can have my H1. So let's have H1 here. So let's just say H2, and let's just say class. We'll call this class of new OBJ or new objects, right? Now in my async.js, right, I'm going to get this inside of my async.js. I can easily say what? So let's say const obj equals to what? Document dot get element by what? By ID. Sorry, document dot query selector. Let's use query selector. But for let me just convert this to an ID. And let us use query selector. And let us get it by what? So that's hash what? New obj. Now, what exactly am I getting this? I'm getting this because I want to display one of the values that are here. So let's say I want to display the website name now. I want to be able to see. Do you get it now? Or instead, I'll change this to a link. You know, the website is a link, isn't it? So use your anchor tag. Now, why am I doing this? If you check this out, this right here is a website. So let us now like create a link. Now that link, we are not the one writing it, are we? No. We are using the link from the API. You understand? Now let us add code it inside, not necessarily. Let us bring it inside of our HTML. Now to do that, we can easily come here. Now we've gotten the response, right? We've gotten the response from the what's the name? From the API. Now what is this? This is what? This is the data. This is exactly the data we are getting from the response. This is the data we are getting from the response, right? Okay. No, I can actually it is a built-in keyword. It's data. It's a built-in. I can say data. If I use something like let's say if I use datas, right? I have to also change this to datas. Let's say datas. Right? Now if you check here, let's see if it works. If you check here, as you can see, it is not working. Because what it is a built-in keyword. No. There's that like in our last class, I just showed you different ways in which you can get prompts, you can write prompts. Now, in this case, the docs here does not exactly require. You can actually use resolve and reject. It's fine, right? Using resolve and reject. In this case of resolve and reject, I've used what the .then to get my what happens if the API is fetched, and what the catch. What happens if there is an error while fetching the API or while integrating the API? You understand that you can use different ways in writing asynchronous Promise is just a way of writing asynchronous function. Dot then is and dot catch is also a way of writing what asynchronous function. Similarly, you have what async and await for writing what asynchronous function. Do you get it now? So this is just another way. In this place, you can also still convert this to a promise, and it's going to work. Now we have data. Now in this place, instead of bringing out data here, right? I can easily just say what. Now, if you come here, what do you have here? You have the data, isn't it? How do we get the website? How exactly are we going to get the website? How are we going to get the website? Anybody following? Are you following me? Are you following me? Why don't you understand? Everything. Are you following me? Are you following me? Okay. So I'm going to start again. Just so everybody understands. What exactly are we trying to do? We're trying to fetch data from this API, right? This is like a public API that you can just use in fetching random data. It does not do anything. It just fetches random data. Do you understand? Now, how exactly are we going to use this? This is how we're going to use it. We're going to use the fetch keyword. Do you understand when I explain fetch? When you're not listening. When you're not listening. Okay, I explained fetch again. Okay, you don't understand. Why did you not draw me back? Okay, you have to change today. Okay, so when we talk about fetch, right? How many of us have used? I don't want to use this only this example again. Okay, good. If you want to use water, how do you use water? If you want to store water, how do you do it? You fetch water. Now, if you fetch water from the tap, what exactly are you doing? You are getting water from the tank, right? That's what fetch is. Fetch is saying that I'm fetching an API from a source, right? Which is from there isn't the API link to fetch data from the API. Do you understand it now? Now, this is what fetch is. That's what fetch keyword is. Now, if you are probably like more advanced, that's when you start using what Axios to also fetch data. But in this case, let's just stick with fetch. Axios is another way of getting data. Fetch is the built-in way of getting data in JavaScript or probably any other programming language. But I know of JavaScript. So we're going to be using fetch to fetch data from this API link, which is what jasonholder.typicode.com/user/1. It's like a random API link. It's an open API. You can search Google for any random API link to play with and their docs. You understand? It is not, it does not really do anything. This API here does not really do anything. It's just for me to explain what API is now. What do you want to integrate in your application? See, yeah, that's the thing. If you want to, like I said, API is what application programming interface, like a go between this and that, like a go between a particular medium and another medium. Do you understand? That's what API is. If you want to integrate something that you don't necessarily have the code or you don't necessarily have the capacity to write all the code, you can easily use what APIs to integrate it. Now, how do you integrate it? You look for a particular organization, a particular I don't use the word website, but look for people or services that can create that this thing for you and you consume the API. That's it. Use the API in your code. That's what API is. So if you are trying to create a weather application, you cannot write weather for over 100 and something countries. Can you? No. How do you do it? You go to Open Weather API, you consume their API, you read their docs. Very important. You read their docs, their documentation. How? Because every API has its own documentation. This is how I want you to implement it. This is how I'm going to, this is how you can use it. You understand? It has their step-by-step procedure of how you can implement it in your code. Do you get it now? So you read the adult. Now, if you want to implement it, first of all, you need to know how to fetch the data from the API and use the API link to fetch data. That's what I'm explaining with this first. This is just the basics. This is not even anything. This is just the basics of API. So do you understand it now? So you have what? Fetch. So fetch from this place. Now, after fetching, what now happens? That's the dot then. Remember, you were here when we talk about dot then. You were here. Okay. So dot then, right? Dot then is now like saying, okay, after you fetched something, after you've done something, then you want to perform an asynchronous function. An asynchronous function that waits for you to get data, and then after you've gotten the data, what happens? You are going to perform this particular function here. And what is the function here? You want to get the response from the API. And after getting the response, you want to convert it to a JSON format so that you can read it. JSON stands for what? JavaScript Object Notation, so that you can makes it readable. Now, when I commented this out, so let us comment it out. And let us just console log the data. So if you check out the data now, what do you have? You have the response here, but you cannot exactly use the response. Why? Because it is not readable yet. Do you get it now? So it has to be readable. You have to convert this response to a JSON format. And that's why we are using dot JSON. So you have dot then, after we fetch the API, what do you want to use? Get the response and convert the response to JSON so you can read it. Now, you now have after you've done this, after it has been converted to JSON, you want to have another dot then that gets the data, and then you want to check out the data. Now, console.log data, these are now the data. So if you check this out, come in. If you check this out, these are now the data. What's the question? Of course, there will always be a data. There's always data for every API. But now, to use that API, again, read the docs of how this. The reason why this is like looking easy now is because it is like this is an API that is not really doing anything. It's just for me to explain what API is out. That's why it's looking like, okay, it's very straightforward, data response. Some APIs, if you read their docs, you will understand how to use them. It's not every API, you don't consume every API the same way. They have different consumption techniques. So now you have console.log data. Now we've gotten the data. And of course, you remember .catch to catch your errors. Why is it you were even giving me answers? You're giving me replies. What's here? I'm trying to know yet. .catch is what? Your error. Right? To get your error. So after you've used your .then, I think you were here. But here when we did promises, resolve and reject. Were you here when we did try and catch? Try and catch block. Okay. She wasn't here. We did try and catch. You cannot draw me back. You cannot draw me back. So what I can do, take which leg? So that I can so I can stop. If before I finish, you'll be able to see it now. They're not taking any light. so sorry, just a moment. Yeah, this is what fetch is, right? Now your .catch, I will also try and explain try and catch again. So in JavaScript, we call something a try and catch block. So when you want to try out something, so we are saying if it does not work, then I just think it does not work. But if it works, then it works. So let's say you want to try a food for the first time. You've not eaten it before. then someone is saying, try it out, try it out. Now, if you try it out, if there's a success, if you like it, oh, there's a remark, okay, I like it. But if you do not like it, you are trying to tell the person that if I catch you, you understand? That kind of thing. The catch is like an error, to catch errors in case whatever you tried out does not work out. So what am I saying? You can have what? Try, right? Try, right? And then you can also have a catch, what? To catch your error, right? So this is the syntax. So you can now say what? Console.log. Or if you have an error, what's the name? HTML value, you can just bring it there and use the error inside. So console.log error. You know that one that you were using error for in your set timeout and everything. You can easily use your try and catch to do this. You don't necessarily have to use your set timeout every time. You cannot use the set timeout in the catch. So what's going to happen is that after you've tried it, if it prints out an error, sets the amount of time. But instead of having to call the what's the name, having to call the error in multiple functions, just set it in your try and catch block, and all of a sudden you have your error. Don't worry, you see it. So you can have your try. Now in this try, I can put all of my .then inside of it. So once it tries it, I can put, if I don't even need to put, I can put my response and everything here. I can put my data here, and then it catches my error. But in this case, okay. Yes. Now they also call something .catch. .catch is the method in which is the word catching error. So in case you're not using try and catch, what you get in this case, did you see try here? What are you saying? .then. So you're not as exactly using the try. I'm just using try and catch to explain the .catch for you. Anywhere you see catch in JavaScript is what? Error. So catch the error. If there happens to be error, in case this .then doesn't work out, or there is an error while calling the API, or there is an error while the user was doing something, it's what helps you catch the error. What error do you want to put in? Let me remove this response. Now let us check it out. Can you see a reference error? Response is not what? This is your error. That's how it helps you catch the error. Now, in some cases, right, in case you're not even using, this is even because you're putting it into the console. In some cases, for instance, okay, I think I showed you one just now. So good. Let us try and now can you see user not found here in this place? This is your catch. So in case you put in the wrong email or wrong password, it's going to tell you what. Now I'm not necessarily setting my function for its password is incorrect. I just put what? Try and catch. Now, whatever error the user commits, it is going to print out the error message according to the error. For instance, now you're trying to set amount, right? And you're also trying to set, you're trying to set error for the amount and your description the other day. That's two types of error, isn't it? But in this case, all you just have to do is what? Set one error pertaining to that, what's the name? Database. To that API. And automatically it's going to catch the type of error. Now, what am I saying? In this case now, let me go to login. In this, I don't like all this. Let me show you what I'm trying to say. So in this case now, I'm in this place. If I go to my login now, I'm in my login. If I try and sign up with so let's come here. Now let me just remove. Let me mask it. If I remove one letter here now and one number, so if I click on login, what is it saying? Wrong password, isn't it? Showing wrong password. Now, that's because I did not connect it to the DOM. I just printed it to the console. Now, if I put 9 here now and I remove my L, let me remove L here. Now, and I click on login, automatically it still what catch this error that I say what user not found and what wrong password. So, but I did not exactly told it to set it to be user not found. I just put the error there. Automatically, it knows the kind of error that the API is referring to. That's what the try and catch is saying. Instead of me trying to code my error, I can easily catch that error. That's why try and catch is very important. Is it clear to you now?
That means you don't have to use where and that.
If you are using then it is advisable to use .catch. But if you are using try, you cannot even use. Let me show you. If I try and say, let's say I use try. Let's say I still showing me an error here. There's an error in this space. Why? What is the error? Catch or finally expected. So it needs me to use what? Either catch or finally. Finally is something that just happens if, like, it's the last thing that happens in your in your API call. We get to finally. Let us just try to stick to that first. If you are saying that you want to use try, if you try out something, you also have to what, anticipate that there's every tendency that that thing goes wrong. That's why you are going to have what? Catch. Just leave finally, don't worry. Leave finally. Leave finally. You say? You say? That's what I'm saying. You can, instead of using .then here, in fact, you still need to use .then. I can put my .then in my try, right? After putting my .then here, see, this is what I'm saying. Okay, let me just cut it out like this. Ctrl X. I can put this here, right? Actually, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. The highest I can do is I can just create a function that listens for my response in my try. The .then here is like an asynchronous function that I'm trying to perform. It doesn't make sense for me to be putting .then inside your try block. Now, what I can do is that I can now have my response. I can have a function rather, an asynchronous function in my try block. What am I saying? I can now say what? Function, right? Function, and in this function I can name it what? Get details. Get details, right? Now, while I'm getting details, I can get my response here, and I can listen for a what? An async function. You understand? An asynchronous function that now takes in my what? My await. I hope you understand what I'm trying to do here. Come on. I hope you understand what I'm trying to do here. So I can now what? Await. So await. I can say what? Fetch. You understand? So I can now await the rest. Okay, you know what? We get here. We get what? Don't get confused. Let's stop. Let's stop. Let's stop. Let's stop. Don't worry. Do you understand this? Good. So you have what? Does everybody understand this? For Samuel, do you understand this? You've not been in class for many days now. Just one day. It looks like you've not been in class for like 3 days. Don't worry, you catch up. If you watch the videos, you catch up. You can ask me questions if you know that you have any problem. Just text me. If you not text me, I know you did not check, you know watch the videos. That's how I to catch everybody. I will know you did not watch the videos. So you have what? Your fetch here, right? And we are fetching the data, right? After fetching the data, what happens after the data has been fetched? We want to convert the response to what? To a JSON format. So that it is readable. I think you should be familiar with this. You've done this before, or it's looking strange. Okay, what exactly have you doing in your backend? Is it response or request? You'll be doing both. So you'll be sending both request and response, right? Good. Now, even post, that's HTTP. That is something else. That's we'll get there. What I'm trying to say is we'll work on HTTP next week now. But you think you're not going to do anything next week? Okay. Who said? Uh, honestly, I don't know the fact. I don't know the answer. No, wait. Sorry. What I'm saying is there are some arguments that people would try to bring up. You just hear, just just rest. I'm not interested in. Do you understand? So if you are saying JavaScript is backend, what exactly do you mean? Is it that you're saying that a part of JavaScript is used for backend, or the full JavaScript is used for backend? I think I understand what he's trying to say now. What he's trying to say is that you're probably not seeing JavaScript in your HTML. So to them, they feel like HTML is your front end, and JavaScript is your back end. Probably that's what he said. And people like that are not programmers. They are just probably. In fact, there is no way you study computer science. There's no way you study computer science. Like you study computer. When I say study, you go to school, you read, we're reading for exams. So that's I don't want to say more than that. So you study computer science and exactly. See what I'm saying? So there's no way you study computer science and then you will like you will not understand HTML and JavaScript. Now they will not teach you. It's not I know they will not teach you, but you will do some certain courses. You will take some things that you will need to even read and study more and study further. And those things will open your head or your brain more to understanding certain things about programming. You understand? So if you really went to class or really took programming classes, you know that okay, there is nothing like this particular programming language is backend or this particular programming language is front end. Now, yes, there's some programming languages that are specifically made or specially made for backend. You have Go, you have Rust. But it doesn't mean that they cannot still be manipulated to do certain other things. You understand? Python, for example, now is the best when it comes to data analysis or creating AI models, right? But Python also is used for backend services. Can use Flask. Yeah, can use Flask. Even JavaScript now is used in what building games. But the major or the core functionality of JavaScript is what? For web development. It was specially created for websites, for web development. But right now, JavaScript is used in what? Building desktop applications, used in building mobile applications, it's used in building games. In fact, you can even use JavaScript for your AI, creating AI models or whatever it means. You get it now? That's how it is. Now, programming has evolved. Saying that anybody can React. What's React for? React is a front end framework, right? Right. A friend of mine used React to create a back end framework. What am I saying? Instead of using React to work on only front end, you can now use React to work on what? Back end. Like that's not really a friend, but somebody that I know. You understand? Created a framework, a backend framework from what? From React. You understand it now? So programming is evolving. Programming is evolving. It's not that one particular. So if you have there's somebody saying that means it's not worth arguing. Like it's not an argument that you should be having. Like just I understand. I understand where you're coming from, but it's fine. You understand? So that's just how it is. Programming is evolving and people are now creating things. Don't be shocked when you don't let me say this one. So people can create anything from anything these days. That's how it is. So let us move on. I've spent too much time talking about JavaScript. Wow. So now we have what does then, and then we are getting the data. Now in this data, what exactly are you gonna have here? So if I refresh this, right, as you can see now, you have the data. Now in the data, what do you notice about this data? What exactly do you notice about it? About this data here? Are you seeing it? In case you want to sum up, do you want to like close that? Can you see it? Like, okay. So, what exactly do you notice about it? I'm going to ask everybody around. Um, Wizard, just one thing. That's what I mean. You don't notice anything. What are you saying? When I ask what are you seeing, I'm not asking address company, no. JavaScript terms, what do you see? What do you see? The link. Oh, the link to the. I'm coming. Let me share it. People can think, or start thinking, I'll ask everybody around. You know what? I don't have to. Let me just share it. Hmm. I'm still asking. Okay, you said object and what? Value. Okay. What did you see? Yes, you still tell me because you were here when we did all of this. I will still ask you. He was sure. Are you sure that I asked you? Something like what? And what are like? What do you see? What do you notice there? Again, don't tell me address, company, email. JavaScript terms. If you look at this place, what do you see? What's it mean? Can you explain it? Can you explain what it means? What it not to think of, but you have to think. Our next, first lady. I said first lady. The guy. Okay. Our president. Okay. An object. People have said object now. Okay. What is it? A string. Nice one. I like it. String. Okay. Why is it a string? Let me ask you a question. Is ID a string? Why do you say everything? Now, some things are strings there, yes, I accept. But is it really a string? No. I'm not talking about ID alone, I'm talking about everything. What you see there. Yes, there are strings there. But what exactly is that glaring thing that you see? Why does everybody say object? Why is it an object? Why is it an object? Why is it an object? Eh? Well, I'm asking the president.
I'm older.
You prefer not to say it. Okay. Why did you say object? Yes, now. You said object. Object. You said object and values. Why is it object and values? Just take a deep breath. Just see what comes to your mind. You don't have to. All these things are not rocket science. It's just one word. This is why it's an object. This is why it's not an object. Anybody wants to oppose this thing. Is it an object? Are you sure? You can give them. Is it an object? All of that, I don't say. It's you. What's an object? Is it an object, Mr. Samuel? Is it an object? Okay, go ahead.
Judging from the syntax.
What is the syntax?
We like with is with the information we said with that we have like then we must one.
Or is it because everybody is seeing object here? That's why I think it's an object.
No. Actually, when we use JSON format, we take the data in an object
That's stored object. Information now. The information of address their company.
You want to try? You want to try? You don't want to try again. So you want to change your answer.
No, I'm not.
Anna, tell me why you say it's objects now. So you think because they say JavaScript object notation now, you think it's an object?
Yeah, yes.
How is this an object? That's an object. The information. Can't I also write arrays like this? Why can't I write arrays? What is the syntax? What is the syntax? So you cannot have number in an array. You cannot have number in an array.
It was to be
Okay. I'm not. Let me stop completely. Okay. Now, semicolon. Okay. Oh, that's actually a colon. Why is it? You go with this thing. So people are very sure it is an object.
It's an object.
Okay. So it's an object. Final answer. Object. All right. Object. So first reason why you'd even call it an object is this one. Curly braces. Again, any data wrapped. That's what I was looking at. I was looking for. Any data wrapped in your curly braces is an object. As long as you wrap series of data in what? That's an object. When it comes to what array is what? Your angle bracket. So it is like this. But curly braces is what? Is for the object. That's why it's an object. And looking at the syntax, like you said, right here you have what? Address and then street. Then you have what? Company and then the colon. Also you have the name. Then you have email and then you have your ID. This basically is what makes it your object, right? Now, why am I explaining this to us? You need to understand that in your API, right? Most of the times you will see your data in object. Now, this is why I said most of the times and not all of the time. Now, all of the times it will be matched in objects. There will be an object in it. But sometimes some of those objects are wrapped up, or some of those data are wrapped up in what? In arrays. What am I saying? Let me just give just a quick explanation into what I'm saying. Sorry, you may not understand some of the things I want to show you here now, but just check it out. Now, looking at, so let me take this off. This is a perfect example of what I'm trying to say. Now, look at this place. This is a what? This is a what? What's this? What is this? Angle brackets. Angle brackets are used for what? But now look at this. Object, first object. You have what? Another object. You have another object inside of a what? Inside of an array. Do you understand what I'm trying to say now? Now, sometimes, when I was explaining data types, I mentioned something very important. Now, everything I'm saying, there's a reason why I'm saying it. I said in data types, you have two types. First is what? primitive. Second is what? Non-primitive. Then I explain that primitive are your normal data types. Non-primitive are what? They are dependent on the primitive. Then how many types of non-primitive that is you? I said we have what? You have your array, you have your objects, you have your functions also. Now, why are an object also data types? Because they help you store data. That's just simple. Now, they cannot have other data types inside of them, but then you cannot have a series of data in that particular object. Similarly, in your array. And I said arrays are used in what? Storing multiple values. Now, in some cases, you want to have what? Multiple objects in what? In your array. Or multiple values in your array. That is why in this place. So if I come right here now, in this place, it is actually being stored in a what? In an array. But inside of that array, you now have what? Multiple objects. Is it clear to you now? You cannot see the array here now because of maxed it out. But for now, all of these things, they are inside of what? The API. The API is like your container, like your array, storing what? Multiple objects. Do you get it now? The first object here is your what? Your address. Okay. Yeah. So instead of this object now, you have your what? Your data. Now in the data, the first object here is your what? Your address. Next object is your what? Your company. Then you have your what? Your email. You have your ID. You have your name. You have your phone. You have your username. Yeah, username. Then you have your what? Your website. Now these are all of the what? Of the properties in the object. Do you understand it now? So you are looking at this place here. This place is just like, if you check the email here, email is also equal to this one, ID. So it's just like masking the same data. Now, you have how many objects here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, why am I explaining this to you? I'm explaining this because I said something. In my HTML, I just printed my what? My 8 tag out. Now, I want to print out the I want to show the website. That's a link to the website on my JavaScript here. Sorry, on my HTML here. But now it's not going to be me that's what writing it out. It's from my what? My API. Do you get it now? Now, how am I going to do that? First of all, we'll fetch the data. We've seen the data. Now, this is the data, right? To get the website now, how are we going to get the website? Data.website. Exactly. So if I come here and I say data.website, what are we going to have? So if you check it out now, you should have what? Ildigard, whatever. So now let us go ahead and now how are we going to bring it inside of our HTML? That is who can help us out? Okay. Okay. Continue. I'm not saying it is, and I'm not saying it's not. Continue. Continue. Let me write it as you are saying it. You're not teaching me. OBJ, objective, dot what? Inner.html. I don't know. I said, she said inner.html. Okay. obj.inner.html. Okay. Equals to data.website. Are you sure it's going to work? Are you sure it's going to work? Is it working?
It's work now.
All right. So as you can see, but now it is not really giving us what we want. Why is it not giving us what we want? Now, what exactly we need is not. Thank God that I just remembered. Now, what we need is not .inner HTML. What exactly do we need? What exactly do we need? I was looking at it like, is it inner HTML? What do we need?
use this.
Why are you using text content? Is it a text? Good.
Object of
Don't hear that.
Instead of saying that one, you can say obj dot what? href. Or is it href or hyperreference? Let's check it out. So you can actually check out all of these things. So I'm going to just come here. I think there's something called probably reference or something. So we'll just check it out together. So if you scroll down here, you should see okay, so now you have text content, you have toggle attributes. Just a moment. Should be a way to get the link. You get attribute. I think you should do something with attributes. Just a moment, please.
I think the process is okay.
So now, what exactly? Okay, get attribute. Now, I don't think it should be from better, but let's try it out. I'm not sure it's going to be get attributes too. So okay, now let's do something else. So we are going to like set the name. So we can say obj dot what dot inner HTML will not be equals to what. So we're gonna have what so let's say website. Now let us check it out. Okay, it's not working. It's not working. Oh, href. Good. Now it's still not gonna work. Still not going to work. I'm trying to remember what we can use. Let's check. Let's try it out. Value. Not exactly going to work. You were saying something. I'm trying to remember something.
object
Uh, object
of
dot.
a
No, it's I actually thought it was href
No,
before.
are you sure we not add? Are you sure we not add that HTML?
No.
How to visualize this thing and use and what?
There is something I don't even want to do, and I might be forced to just do it in the end. So okay, you know what? Let's try let's check href value in JSON. Trying to check something. The anchor element called href. Okay, yeah. So now let us try something else. So let's say, so I'm going to say obj dot. So let's try anchor element. It's not yet.
How to use that website?
Hmm. Is it?
That website.
Data dot what?
website.
No, no. Wait, why are we using data dot website dot href? Why are we using? You know what? I think I even know what I should be getting. Said I've not exactly gotten the href yet. So this is what they did here. So they want me to get this particular attribute of the href. I think I understand what I have to do now. So we can say const anchor element equals to what? So we can now say what? Document dot query selector, right? So we're going to get the A tag. Do you understand? Then we can now say const link element equals to. So I think it should also document dot query selector. So let us check it out. Okay, so we can just have anchor elements of href. All right, good. So it's not going to be what anchor element dot what href. Good. Now in this place we've gotten obj, which is going to be this place. So we are not going to have obj.name. Sorry, data.name. That's the inner HTML. So why am I saying data.name? So if you check it this place now, you should have what the name in this place. So the name is what Lynn Graham. Now we're also not going to change the href to this one. So how are we going to change it? I can easily just come here and say, so let's also check this place out. So looking at this place now, it's still not going to work. Like how? A what? A what? Continue now. Area. Okay. This is why catching errors is important. So continue. I'm listening. No, I want to listen to you first. Sorry, objects dot what? Uh-huh. A ref. Href. Okay, href. What are you saying? Are you saying A ref or href? A space ref. Href now. A href. That is. It's not good.
No, that is going to be like a form of, you don't have to that like open and close tab. Put that in.
Okay, you know what then? Continue. I think I understand. You see? Wait, there's a moment. Just wait a moment. I think we can do something like this. So let's say we're gonna have an A tag. In this place, I'm gonna change this from A. I'm gonna change from A to like a div tag, right? So I'm gonna use a div tag instead. Now in the div tag, we're gonna create an anchor tag, an A tag. For real? Are you sure? But you said I should move back to just now.
Anyway.
Okay, so we have what href. Now, I think we inside of this place, I'm going to have another backtick here, and I'm going to have my dollar sign. Now, in this dollar sign, I'm going to have data dot what website. It's still not going to work. Why am I putting website? I have to reference this thing now. Now, in this place, we cannot have what another dollar sign, and here we can have what data dot name. Now, this is something that I feel it work, but it's the reason they say the dollar sign is not working here. Dollar sign should
You can't use balances.
you can actually.
But I mean,
In the href, you can. You can, or maybe it is my React knowledge that is making me think I can use it. So, Ma, you say continue now. Okay, you know what? What are you saying there? Are you yeah? Okay. Yeah. Blah blah blah. What? That's exactly what I did now.
Then after doing that, they have to target.
Its target is equals to what? Inside of
Target,
is it backticks that will be in the href?
yes.
In the href, Abi?
So,
Let me see what you're saying. Let's check our solution now.
look at how this object. They only got this. Like they were target.
It is it's still same thing as me. It's the same thing I've been doing, but it's not working. Let me try it again. The inner HTML, Abi. So we'll try it again. So we have this. Then we're not going to have dollar sign, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then inside of the dollar sign, I'm going to have data dot what website.
Yes.
Okay. Me, I was using backticks before.
That's what
Eh.
Using backticks.
You know, you cannot use backticks inside of.
Yeah. Congratulations. So now we've been able to get the data of the what of the. Now I'm still going to console. I'm still going to print this out to the console.
why is it not showing the answer of that table?
Sorry,
Showing that table.
because I use data.name. What's the name here, ma? No. If I remove the data.name, you will not have any name there. Have you forgotten how your backticks work? Have you forgotten how your HTML work? If you did not put something there, it's not going to show. See, it's not going to show.
Yes. Okay, sir. Why don't you just instead of that?
Because what's the response sending you? Answer the question. Sorry. What's the response sending you? There's a reason I want you to answer this question. Yes. No. After response, what's the next thing? That means what's the response sending you? Data. Inside of where is the website? Exactly. So that's why I'm not just using website. That's why I'm using what? Data dot website. Which one? This one. We can do that. It works.
Yeah, so that, you know, wow, this thing,
Okay. Yeah, okay, you don't have to see the person's name. Don't worry, I'll send you the API link. When you reach your turn, you cannot use I'll send you the API link. I'll actually send everybody the API link. I understand what you're saying. What you're saying is that instead of using this, just say click on the link, right? What I'm now saying is, I'll send you the link. So you try it, or you try it. So now, but if you notice it's not working, why is it not working? Just say udguards.org. It's not working. Why is it not working? I'm asking you. Nope. Why is it that, again, look at it. I've said this thing before. No. When I click on this thing, exactly, it does not have HTTPS to transfer you to where the data is going. Now, how are we going to compute HTTPS? HTTPS. Good. No, it's my this thing. So now, if I go back here now let us try it again. Now, if we click on this, it should. Sorry, let me save this again and let me check it out. So I refresh. Good. As you can see, what is it showing you now? Check this bottom left. Yes, down here, down, bottom left. HTTPS first. Now, if you click on it, it tells you, okay, the website is not. So as you can see, that is how it is. Now, if you look at this place, now I say you can manipulate all of these things and you get what you want. See, API is interesting, very interesting. It's not interesting. How is API not interesting? Yeah, in fact, it's even more interesting that API makes JavaScript sweeter. Go to somebody's API. Sometimes those APIs are paid; they're not free. Do not see. Nobody will even drop their API for you. Exactly. That's why you use API. And you use API. You can actually get calculated API. For instance, some people actually are very skilled that they will build a scientific calculator. Now, if he has somebody that what he does want to do is write your logic, and maybe you don't want to like have some other scientific calculation there, but you don't want to go ahead and start stressing your head and start writing JavaScript logic to calculate cosine or sine or tan, all of those things. You can integrate API. You understand? But again, if you know that you don't want to stress your brain, why are you building a calculator project? You don't want to stress your brain. Now, before we continue this class, one thing you need to understand about APIs is that nobody will release their API for you. Like when I say release their API link or API key. Why? So nobody will release their API key for you. And why are they not releasing it? Your API is one of the easiest ways to hack your application. They can easily, anybody can have access to your application if they get your API. All they just have to do is test your API, pen test your API, and look for the weaknesses in your API, attack it, and get access to your application. Get access to your app. So if you are building an e-commerce website now, and you have thousands of users, transactions are going on your this thing every day. Somebody can just easily, once they get maybe they get the API to your storage. They can pen test it, look for weaknesses. Just a minute. They can pen it, look for weaknesses, get into your payment. Oh, sorry. Let's say that you integrated Paystack. Now, Paystack has two types of key. They have public key and they have secret key. Now, you are now very, very, very loose. You now expose your secret key. Now, if you've exposed your secret key easily, anybody can enter your application. That's your application. Inspect that's if you are very careless to store API on your front end. Inspect it, get your secret key, pen test it, and look for weaknesses. Now, once they can get weaknesses, as transaction is going, of course, they cannot crack it in one day. Some people are very good, hackers are very good, they will crack it in one day. So now let's just say they pen test, they're pen testing. All of a sudden, they just hack your application. And as you know, e-commerce, something like Jumia, transactions are going on every day. Now imagine that a particular user of yours is not trying to buy goods. They now send money. You do not receive the money. Then they send the money. Money did not reach your own account, but it is showing that they paid. And you're like, how? First of all, because of you don't want to do jail, first of all, you will make sure that you send that package to the user because it is showing that they paid. It is not because of your own carelessness that your application was hacked and the payment did not reach your own end. Now, like that, it's not just one user. Imagine that thing happens to what? Hundreds of users. So somebody, let's just even use very small amount of money, small money. Let's use 5K. 5,000 times 100 people. Calculate it and know how much are going to lose. Because of your carelessness of what? Releasing. Now, this is the reason I'm telling you this. APIs, yes, they are very, very good. But whenever you are using them, you need to store them in an environmental variable. A particular place whereby anybody or nobody will have access to it. Only you. You understand? You mask it, store it in an environmental variable, and then you can easily push it towards your GitHub and deploy it and host it. You do not push your environmental variable to GitHub. Do not try it. Except you are ready to lose the application. If you are not ready to lose it, don't try it. Do you know what an environmental variable is? That's Celestine. Apart from headers, he has not explained it, right? He said I should put pressure on you. I'll put pressure on you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it. You're supposed to thank her now. You just saw it already. All right. So, allow me to put pressure on our student. So he said, you've not talked about env file. .env. env. Okay, I was not explained environmental. I'll ask him. I'm joking. That's the environmental. That's where you store. Yeah, environmental variables. env. Environmental variables. Now, why do we have env? Env is used in NMO. Is it right? MN, sorry. Good. So, environmental variables, that's where you store. What do you say? So you will register for cybersecurity class next code.
I'm not saying
Okay, you're not going to act. They're not actually going to teach you how to act anybody. That's not what cybersecurity is about. I tell you. You want to do J? You want to do J? The thing is that you know the problem with